Welcome back to the Epoch podcast. My name is Ben Wartsky, and with me today, as always, is my co-host, Diego Bryan.
Hello, hello.
With us today, we have guacamole expert slash PR expert slash writer slash illustrator enthusiast slash a happy Knicks fan, which is weird to say. Those words generally don't go together in the past couple of years. Ian, I'm going to get this wrong. It's just Pierno?
Yeah, that's right.
Nailed it. Let's go. First try. So thank you for being on, Ian.
Did I hear a guacamole expert?
Yeah, dude, I love guacamole, man.
Is this self-proclaimed or have you been told?
It's certified. It's by the guacamole U.S. team, whatever that is.
The U.S. guac.
Whoever does the U.S. guacamole stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so you like writing? Is that what you do?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I love doing. I'm more storytelling, you know.
So we do it through the podcast. You do it through words.
Mm-hmm.
So why writing? Like what instead of drawing, or what drew you to writing?
Well, I mean, like growing up for me, like I was glued to like Sports Illustrated for Kids, ESPN, the magazine, Slam magazine.
February edition.
Yeah. Chill out. Nah, my mom took that one. I won't even lie to you.
Why didn't it come this month? Oh, I guess ESPN just doesn't do February.
Yeah, she's slick. But you know, like I grew up reading all these stories. You know, like I played sports growing up. I played a little bit of football and I played lacrosse through elementary and high school. But like, you know, I was pretty mediocre, you know. Right. So right. like I wouldn't think that then, but now looking back, I was like, man, like I was just okay. You know?
I say that is actually one regret I have is that I did not play middle school football. I feel like everyone makes middle school football if you're like semi-athletic.
Yeah, I got
you're
cut.
Not like tiny. You got cut.
Dang.
I was pretty good at lacrosse though.
Okay, so
but,
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Get back on topic. Like, so I love reading like Lee Jenkins and all these other guys and.
What kind of books? You're saying like?
Well, I loved magazines. And I did read like a lot of like the Mike Lupica books. I hope I got his name right, but I read a lot of those.
I think it is Lupica.
Just like reading those magazines all the time and seeing these like stories come to life.
Right.
And you know, and like I couldn't really associate with being like a star or something like that. But being able to see like these guys from a variety of backgrounds, and like people say sports aren't important and like they're just bland stories, but like there's the Cinderella stories, you have heels, there's a protagonist and antagonist in every sports story. And just based on how much I read, which was borderline obnoxious, that's when I just started trying to write myself. And that's
so what age are we looking at? Are we looking at like right as soon as you could write, you started, or as soon as you learned to write, you started writing sports?
Well, when I was in like middle school, I used to just fill up notebooks full of like fake stats and like fake teams and like write like little like tidbits about the teams and stuff like that. But as far as like article writing, that started, I guess, my freshman year of high school. I was on our school paper. That's where I kind of got started, but like I wasn't really that serious about it yet. It was just more like, you know, it was a pretty easy A and just you know, having something to do.
Right.
But then eventually I became more serious about it.
Right. You're still doing it. So apparently you're a little more invested now than you used to be.
Yeah.
Newspaper writing's so interesting because I also joined newspaper for a year. And like
his was passion, Diego's is an easy
I wanted that easy A senior year. But no, I mean I actually did work there. But yeah, it's totally different because I don't know. It's not like it's like storytelling, but no bias. At least it's supposed to be no bias.
Yeah.
I will say all the major news sources biased.
Yeah, dude, I'm super biased. I'm not even gonna lie. Like
really,
like when I've covered like soccer teams and stuff, and like if there's a player that like, you know, he's just kind of like not cool, you know, like, and if he says something stupid, because like sometimes if like you really like a dude and you know he's like tripping over his words a little bit, like you'll clean it up a little bit, but like I'm like, oh, like you kind of gave me a stink eye last week, so like I'll print it as I say it then, you know. But yeah, mostly like trying to be objective, because you know unless you're like a columnist, like you're not the focus of the story, you know.
Right.
So
unless you're like one of the like ESPN writers that is a household name, I guess. Yeah. It's like Bill Simmons or like a Zach Lowe or like I guess maybe even Luke DeCock maybe.
Yeah.
Like then whatever you post, people are going to talk about it because
Yeah.
you're just like the big deal. So how would you say that writing has changed since you started reading it to now?
I mean, well, for starters, when I first started reading, pretty much everything I read was in print.
Right.
And now, I mean, I've freelanced for the News and Observer, which is a newspaper, for a little over 2 years, and like I can't even remember the last time I picked up a newspaper. Even now, like I still get magazines in the mail and stuff, but I read a lot of it online.
Right.
So that's been a big thing. And then also I feel like kind of over time, the appreciation for long form writing has gone down a lot. Because I've written for a few places, and at one place I was an editor for a Memphis Grizzlies website.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was under the fan-sided umbrella. I did that for like 4 or 5 months, but like the focus it's just strict like page views, getting stuff out as soon as possible.
Right.
A big like quantity thing. Like one time I wrote like this like 2,000 word feature about DJ Stevens, who plays overseas now.
It's like one of your really good friends.
Yeah, I love texting with him. Really cool guy. But like I wrote like this really long story about him, and like I had like I was an editor, but my editor, he hit up my email and he was like, "Hey, you should have made this a slideshow." You know, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "This is like a really deep long form,"
Right.
you know. So that's really how things are changing, man. I mean, I love reading like The Ringer and places like that because I still appreciate long form writing.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's a lost art. I think, as you said, like it's just people aren't reading as much anymore.
Yeah.
As sad as that is, like people are always like, I mean, I see your tweets all the time.
Yeah.
You are an avid tweeter.
Yeah.
I'm more of an avid reader of tweets, and then I'll retweet. I think that's like 50-60% of my tweets, maybe even more than like 80%. And I think like because of that, like they'll put the what you need to know in the story in the like the quote above the link to the story, and so then people won't even click on it.
Yeah.
Which is I think is kind of sad. It's just like a lost art.
I mean, like look at like Adrian. I'm not even bother trying to pronounce his last name, but you know,
Wojciechowski.
yeah, Wojciechowski. You know, like I have his tweet notifications on,
Right.
But like it's pretty rare that like every single time he tweets, I'll get a notification on my phone. But like it's pretty rare I actually go to his website and actually read
what he
something
wrote.
on the vertical,
Right.
unless it's about Phil Jackson.
He actually,
then I'll read it right
he's
away.
not on the vertical anymore as of this
ESPN,
morning. ESPN,
yeah.
he just got signed.
Yeah, he's
So
gonna
congratulations to you, Woj.
gonna walk into Bristol like he's owning the place, man.
That's crazy. Like,
It's impressive. They've been firing a lot of people.
they have. They just
Yeah.
laid off a ton of people.
But I mean, that goes back to the whole thing of what does Waj provide, and that's quick. I mean, breaking news that people
Right.
can click on, read for 10, 30 seconds, and go back to what they're doing.
For those of you who don't know, Woj or something like that, he's
Woj-bomb.
like the most connected. He's known as the most connected man in the NBA, and he like breaks every free agent signing or like trade deal. Like I don't know how he does it, but he just does it before anyone else does. And so as soon as he tweets it out, it's known as gold. It's like it's true for sure, and then everyone else starts tweeting about it. So the fact that I saw a tweet earlier that was like ESPN with the major signing of the offseason with Woj, which is true, because if you have him on his team, then I mean people might start coming back to ESPN. I don't know. It's like it's tough to do. So when was like, so you talked about how your editor just kind of like cut you off.
Yeah.
So was that like a learning curve? Like when you're writing for yourself, you can. Like if you start your own website, you can write as long as you want. No one's going to tell you no. Versus when you write for the NNO or you write for other places. Like how does the experience of different bosses affect your writing?
I mean, I've had lots of really different kinds of bosses.
Right.
I like at the NNO, for example, my main boss is J. Mike Blake. Shout out to him because he kind of got my whole writing, storytelling career started. But like, it's just really like different kinds of management styles based on the places I've written. And even with like J. Mike, it depends. Like if it's like a Friday night and I'm covering football, like it's super time driven. It's like you need to get it in as soon as possible because like print deadlines are going earlier and earlier now, so it's so hard. And then with like long forms, it's a lot of like working back and forth and trying to make things concise. With most like long form stuff I write for the NNO, I can pretty much write as much as I want as long as it's concise and I'm not repeating things over and over again, because usually you don't schedule that stuff far in advance so I can write it. And then usually long forms I write, they'll find like a slow day and that's when they punch it in. And then working for Fansided and the Grizzlies website there, it was just constant. Like, you know, I managed like a team of writers, and like
gosh.
I got paid. It was like 8-9 guys. Our Slack was pretty lit. It was pretty fun. But I still talk to a lot of those guys. But like you get paid based on partially on how much you publish. So
dang.
Oh, that's tough.
yeah, so like we sent one of our guys in Memphis to the Grizzlies media day, and he wrote like a really long article, and like it was great. You know, he summed up all the important things about media day, and I chopped it up into 11 articles.
I mean, that just makes sense financially. It
Yeah.
makes sense, and I mean, and who's going to read one article that's
Yeah.
like, as you said, 2,000, 3,000 words long? If they can read 11
Yeah.
200-word articles, that's much easier to read, much
Yeah.
easier to digest.
You know, but it's also about getting like clickbait too, you know, because like
Were you doing clickbait? Were you one of the perpetrators of
I'm
clickbait?
not like, not to toot my own horn, but no. But you know what? We were also like in like the lower third of the NBA sites and hits, because like you look at the Cavaliers site and they'd be like, man, it's DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis a trade target for the Cavs, and like
Right.
boom, like that article would get more hits than like our like, you know, Basketball Reference like
Yeah.
research, you know. But like we put out good content, and I think it helped the
Right.
reputation of the site. And now the guy who runs it now, Parker, he does a good job with it. So they've been slowly but steadily moving up, and you know,
That's so tough.
that's the way to do
and
it.
like today, yeah, I agree. That's like the good way to do it. But like for people, like some people, it's just hard to like keep grinding when like you see all these other people and they're taking the easy route maybe, or like the route that might get them quicker, but in the end, their content's not as good.
Yeah. And eventually,
I feel like things kind of flip around. Like initially, you might get a good boost from all the clickbait and everything, but good content usually wins.
Yeah, because
Or-
eventually
At the
you'll
end
have
of the day.
fans. Not bad. I didn't
No,
mean to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you. But
No,
like,
you
I
go
mean,
first.
eventually you'll have fans. That
Yeah,
like, because it's all about creating, like, getting repeat followers. And when fans start realizing, like, I mean, this is garbage, you know, like, they stop coming back. I mean, that's
Right.
happened to me with websites before in the past. So I think being able to tell a story the right way, I mean, loyalty is big when
Right.
it comes to, I mean, that's why ESPN is still so popular in Sports Illustrated, is because they've been able to build their brand and create that loyalty.
Right.
All their, I guess, customers are repeat customers. So.
Right. And they also, I mean, they do a good job of getting the events that they need to get. Like as much hate and crap as ESPN gets for whatever, they're still like hosting some of the most important playoff games or sports games. And so if you want to watch it, you're going to ESPN. You're essentially paying them, whether you want to or not, whether you disagree with some of their more questionable business decisions.
I wanted to take a step back though, because we kind of skipped from high school freshman year, just starting writing, until News and Observer writing. So like, what happened in between that
question.
time? How did you land a News and Observer contract?
That's what he was writing for in high school. That's what he didn't tell you. He just started immediately.
Yeah.
He just walked in and was like,
He walked in.
Well, I mean, sort of. So my junior year, I transferred. So after my sophomore year, I transferred schools. My junior year, I wasn't able to get on the paper just because of some scheduling stuff. But then my senior year, I joined the paper. And I was able to convince them to let me be the sports editor somehow. But so I was doing this whole sports editor thing. And like, you know, that was okay. But I wanted to do more. So I started like, it all connects together. You'll see. But like our second football game this season, I couldn't go. And I was like, man, like I wish I could listen to the game. I could know what's up. So then I started like an online radio site with the Twitter. It was called Catamounts Live, and basically that's where my love of Twitter started, man. That was
it?
Tweeting on that account, man. Just tweeting the score to every game, stats and stuff like that.
you had any like GIFs or GIFs?
Oh, my
At that
GIF game.
moment?
My GIF game wasn't as strong quite yet, but now it is. So
No,
you know,
I see it now. That's why I was asking.
That's what my comm major at NC State's getting me. So you live and you learn. But I started with that, and you know, I'd be going to like so that fall it would be football, and then I went to some men's soccer games because our team was pretty good that year. And I just kept running into J. Mike Blake, who at that time was the sports editor of the Cary News, which is owned by the NNO.
Right.
And one day I pulled out a snack out of my bag, and it was Pop-Tarts. And he pulled a snack out of his bag, and it was Pop-Tarts too. And we were sharing Pop-Tarts in the press box. It was at Middle Creek, actually. And like, you know, and then like,
one thing led to another.
yeah, one thing led to another, and you know, he started reading some of the articles I'd write for the Panther Creek. I'm not gonna say newspaper; it was online, but online scholastic media site.
Right.
And he'd give me some feedback, more feedback. And then eventually after like 3 or 4 months, because I was pretty raw as a writer, he was like, well, you can come do this for us now. And then for the remainder of my senior year, starting in like January 2015, I started covering some Panther Creek events for them. And then it just kind of grew from there, from like soccer, pro soccer, covering like the Holiday Invitational and other schools and stuff like that. And it's been a really cool experience. I mean, I've been published, like when I first started getting published, like, I was like sending it to like my grandma and stuff. And
Right.
now it's been like over like 200 times, and it's just,
There's no big deal. It's 200.
yeah,
Casual 200.
no, but like, it's been cool. Like I've gotten to see what it's like to work as a journalist.
That was going to be my next question is what is it like to work as a journalist?
Dude, it's stressful, man. Like, I've made lots of connections with other writers too, and they've told me like it's very like, I mean, like I said, it depends on the situation. Like if I'm working on long form, I can kind of go at my own speed, but I'm also not full time or anything. But like, it could be really fast paced and really stressful, right. As far as just time constraints and things like that. And as far as like being on like a beat, like I was on the Carolina Railhawks beat. And like
now the North Carolina Football Club.
Yeah, now North Carolina FC. Shout out to Daniel Neal.
Shout out. I would actually like to have you on the pod, by the way. Why would you listen to this? But if you are, just come on the pod.
You definitely need to get Daniel on here. But so like I got on that beat, and like when that was all just kind of out of luck how I got onto that beat. And not luck. I mean, yeah, it was,
it's circumstance.
It was good timing. It was good timing, I was in a good place, good time, just right place at the right time, which sometimes that's what you need.
Right.
And like, it was like a pretty crazy time. Like the owner had just been indicted in like a FIFA scandal and was like on like house arrest in Miami. And like the future of the team was kind of up in the air, and then they sold the team. Of course, Steve Malik, who rebranded them and all that. And then it's like, oh, well, I know we've only gotten like 4,000 fans a game the past 10 years, but we're going to try and go to MLS now. And then I had to cover that. And like, so then it's like making connections like within the organization. And sometimes that can be really tough too. Especially for me, like when I first started covering the team, I guess I was 18.
Right.
It was sometimes kind of hard to get people to take me seriously.
Yeah. I mean, these are like 26, 27-year-old like professionals.
Yeah.
And I
mean, the people that work for the team are even older, like they're calm people and stuff like that. General manager, owner.
Right.
But so like I said earlier, sometimes it's another slow process kind of thing. But like, I mean, that part of it's exhausting too. Like trying to keep up with these people and, stay on their good side. And
is it sometimes tough to balance? Like we had talked about biases earlier, but is it tough to balance that? Like if you really like them versus like if they do something wrong or they had like a poor performance, is it tough to balance like, oh, he's a bad player, but I like him, so I don't want to publish a piece that could like negatively like damage his reputation or her reputation.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's hard, man. Like, for example, like the owner of the team right now, Steve Malik, back in like February, he had said they were going to get, or like it's late January, he was like, yeah, well, if stadium rendering's out, next week, and it's June and there's still no stadium renderings, I'm like, I want to write about that,
Right.
But like, he's a good guy too. So, I mean, it can be tough, but I think most of the time, I mean, I'm just trying to tell the story as it is.
Right.
So, I mean, something you have to think about. It's not.
So, but people don't really hold that. They have you found that people would hold that against you? Like, have you had your relationship change after you've published a story about someone, either in one positively or negatively?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I guess, or maybe bad, depending.
Wait, so do you?
No, I
have
will. Oh, sorry. I will say the coach will be kind of like over there. He'll be kind of moody with me sometimes. It'll be during a losing streak. I was like, he read what I wrote. But overall, like like soccer aside, most people, I mean, they're professionals and they can step away and know that you're doing your job.
Right. Exactly.
And they're doing theirs.
Exactly. And your job is just to cover their job.
Yeah.
And if they did a better job, you'd cover them
Yeah.
positively.
You're just writing it as it is. I mean, you just got to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they probably wouldn't want you to write like, "Oh, the team is so good" if they're losing every single game. That just wouldn't. It'd be silly. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So what is your connection to the Rail, or I guess Carolina FC now? Do you still do them all the time, or like?
So I was like the past 2 summers, I'd been going to like every single game. But then this summer, the NNO decided to cut game coverage because budgets, you know,
Budgets.
it's
It's tough.
It's a struggling industry, and like
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that too much, but so mostly for me now, it's covering news and things like that, features, long form stuff. Which I mean, that's why I like doing better anyway. I'm not
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like soccer is just not your sport.
No, it's not. I mean, like I guess playing FIFA is pretty cool. But,
Right.
I mean, I do like soccer because I've gotten to meet really cool people because it's a worldwide sport. So I've met guys from Guatemala and Haiti and, you know, America, but like, you know, but yeah, no, as far as the sport goes, not really my thing. But so yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. And that's cool. I mean, that's why I like doing more anyway. I mean, that whole company and industry as a whole is kind of evolving. So
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
they have to figure out, newspapers overall have to figure out, do they want to go fully online? Will they lose some of their readers? Advertising, how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's crazy.
it's a lot of experimenting now with newspapers.
I'm sure. Like, I feel like sometimes when I go on to like the New York Times website to read an article, half of the time I get an ad that I can click through. The other half, it's behind a paywall, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Do I keep clicking on these articles? And I don't know. It's tough. It's hard. It's just a hard industry.
Yeah.
It's had a
Have you messed around with like things like series or any things like that where you had like multiple parts to something? I've just seen that more and more often. I think it's been successful. Like Gary Vaynerchuk or anything like that. He's not actually like
Yeah.
a writer, but he just puts out a lot of content where it's just
And you're saying he does it like part one of this story?
yeah, he'll do like
part two?
multiple part series, or like he always goes back to his like Gary Vaynerchuk show. Like he always references it, and it's like some days it's like 15-minute days where he just like checks in with what's going on, but like it's consistent every single day. I don't know.
I haven't done anything like that, but I mean, I listen to you say like that sounds cool. I feel like if I got started on something like that, I would get really into it, and I would just turn it into a book. But,
That's a goal of yours, right?
yeah, I would like to write a book eventually one day.
And you want? I'm just going off my memory on
Yeah.
tweets that I've seen of yours, because for whatever reason, Twitter really likes you on my feed. And I'm
Hey.
not saying I don't like that. I just see your tweets all the time.
I think it's mostly just a quantity thing. Either that or the algorithm just loves me.
It
So,
really does. Like, I see a large majority of your tweets. Well, actually, maybe not a large majority. I see a lot of them. And so
Yeah.
I think you were saying that you want to write a biography. Well, this actually could have been a joke.
Yeah.
This might have been
This
a joke.
was dead
tweet.
serious.
This
It
was
was
dead
so
serious.
not a joke,
I don't
yeah.
remember the full tweet, but it's something you want to write a biography, but you wanted someone in it, right?
Yeah, if I could write a biography about anyone, it would be Sam Hinkie. Which
Who is this person?
I'll give you
It's a great person
the
to
quick
ask.
primer because I do know a little bit about him. He was the former general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. Basically, when he took over the team, he created this thing. Like, they were pretty mediocre, right? But he created this thing called the process. And basically, the process was fielding a team that would lose as many games as possible. And then with those, because the worst teams pick first, they
Right.
get the highest
Well,
odds in the lottery.
They
And then,
should pick first anyways, unless you're the Hornets, who have the worst record of all time, get second. But it's okay, whatever.
I mean, Kid Gilchrist paid off anyway,
Yeah,
but
whatever.
and basically, like, the dude was a genius. So not only did he do that, but he was just like, he kind of, I don't want to say he started the
Tanking.
analytics. No, the
Yeah.
analytics thing, because
Yeah.
that was Hollinger with Memphis, but he really took it to the next level, just like spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of like the length of guys' hands. And he would like plan out trades like years in advance. Like, he'd be like, well, I'm going to trade for this guy, and I'm going to trade that guy for that guy, and I'm going to trade that guy for that pick in cash, and I'm going to use that cash to get this pick.
Jeez.
Like, dude was just like insane. And like, he's
Playing a chess game with real life.
He's playing like 4D chess. Yeah, basically. Just total nerd. Like, if you look at him, like, just like, dude's a geek, you know. And eventually, like, the NBA realized they didn't like it, and eventually he was pressured by the NBA pressured the Sixers to fire him. And now
I don't know anything about basketball.
Yeah.
But were they getting good or
no, they were still pretty horrible.
They're still bad.
But then this year they had.
is this recent?
This
This
okay.
is all recent. This is
Okay,
all
okay.
like the last 5 years. And he was fired, I guess, 2 years
That's
ago.
what I was gonna say 2 years ago.
And then this year they got the number 3 pick, which was part of the end of the process, and they picked Markelle Fultz. So now they have like that full starting 5 lineup of really promising players, all under like 24 years old, and he's like worshipped in Philadelphia now for it
Really?
because they're set for years. And it was all because of him.
Is the 76ers the team with injured players?
Yeah, the
Okay.
teams that they always go there, they get injured their first
Yeah.
season. Or in Embiid's case, he gets injured for 3 seasons,
Yeah.
2 seasons, something like
But
that.
you know what? It helped the tank.
It helped the
didn't
tank. It
You
did,
know,
it
like,
did.
I totally I have nothing to back this up, but I totally believe Ben Simmons could have played this year. Come on,
100%.
Come on.
Yeah.
But hey,
Their team's gonna be fun
Now
to
they
watch.
have a young team.
Yeah.
They all should be like pretty decent.
They should.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not be
theory.
good now, but they're like the Timberwolves.
yeah, give him
Ish.
2-3 years. I mean, and the players fit like a system too. Like he's not just blindly picking. I mean, he goes for the best player available, but
Right.
you know what I mean. But as far as like a book subject, I mean,
That's
he
really
was
interesting.
I mean, basketball or just sports in general is such a big macho alpha thing. And then this guy kind of came in and just, revolutionized. I mean, he changed how teams are managed, I think, forever now. And he just took a totally different approach. And he's unique in a sports world that is macho and alpha. And, he kind of, is behind the scenes, just a weird dude. Like when he got fired, he sent like a 40-page Word document letter to the
Like what to
executives.
do with the team.
No, just like saying it, like talking about his time there and like quoting like Shakespeare and stuff. Like, just, like I forget exactly what he quoted, but like weird dude. But
It sounds like a 30 for 30 ESPN documentary.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds
I
like.
agree. Yeah,
maybe I can beat ESPN too. I'll get my book out first,
No,
and
there
then
you go.
they can take inspiration.
exactly.
From that.
They say quoted as written by in Pierno.
Yeah.
And then there you go. Now you're on ESPN 30 for 30. Boom, you're making moves. He reminds me of the Moneyball guy. I don't know what his name is. I just saw the movie with Matt
Brad
Damon.
Pitt. Oh. No,
Brad Pitt?
was
Is it Brad Pitt?
definitely
Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it's not Matt Damon. So whoever that guy was,
Yeah.
that sounds like Sam Hinkie is the NBA version of that dude who
Yeah.
brought analytics into it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, what is this guy doing? Then it started working, and he's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, just as a little bit of a side note. So on another note, where did the basketball come in? So we talked about writing.
Mm-hmm.
You really liked writing. So you read sports articles. Why basketball out of, like, ESPN doesn't just cover basketball.
Yeah.
They cover NFL, MLB,
Soccer
very
more,
little
yeah.
bit NHL.
Mm-hmm.
So what drew you to basketball?
I'm not even gonna lie, like it's kind of a new thing for me. Like I grew up playing a little bit of football, wasn't that good, and I played lacrosse and I loved lacrosse. But then when I graduated, there's not a whole lot of like pickup lacrosse
Right.
for adults,
There's also
and,
no
like,
professional lacrosse league.
There is. They make like a cool like $5,000 a year, man. It's pretty lit. They have a 2-point line and a shot clock, and cross checks are legal. There's a team down in Charlotte. It's pretty fun. I'll have
What
to
is
go
what
this
is
summer.
what is the North Carolina lacrosse team name?
The Charlotte Hounds?
The Charlotte Hounds.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Charlotte
And they
Hounds.
get pretty good attendance. They tailgate. It's pretty good. maybe we'll have to go to a game this summer. We can make a
should.
Charlotte trip.
No, we definitely should.
But so, and then I graduate, and I don't really have lacrosse anymore.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the easiest sport to pick up was I just started playing hoops for fun. And I started to get into basketball. I've always been like a casual NBA fan. And then when the Knicks traded for Carmelo, when the Knicks signed Amari Stoudemire in like 2010, 2011, I started to get into it more. But then after like when my lacrosse career was coming to a close, I started to get into it more, follow more. And then started playing, and like I'm not good, but I enjoy it, and that kind of reflected in how much I started following it. And then I transferred to NC State. I'd never been a big college basketball guy because my parents didn't go to schools with D1 basketball programs, so I never had like a real reason to like a team.
Right.
I kind of liked the University of Washington.
Did you watch like March Madness at all?
Yeah, of course
Okay.
I'd watch. Everyone watches that,
Right.
So I kind of like the University of Washington, but not enough to like really follow them, especially when games are starting at like 11 p.m. East
Right.
Coast time.
Yeah, that's tough.
So then when I transferred here, like it just really all kind of cultivated together, and I love the sport. It's another sport like soccer, for example, where this guy is from a variety of backgrounds, and then even like physically you have like the 7'3" guys, then you have like Isaiah Thomas is like 5'9". Like no matter like what your size, you can find a role. And that kind of made me fall in love with the sport. I also love what the NBA does. It's a really fan accessible league. Like they encourage their teams, like be silly on social media. They encourage their players to use Twitter. Like Adam Silver is a genius. Like
I like him better than David Stern.
I mean, David Stern blocked the CP3 trade, so he's just on my crap book forever. But but yeah, Silver's great. He really makes the league about the fan, and for me as a casual fan,
I think a little more than a casual fan.
Well, I'll start as a casual fan though,
right.
and it's because he made it easy to be a casual fan. And then from there, I just started watching more and more, and
all of a sudden you're spending hours on the New York Knicks Reddit thread, and then
man, Knicks Reddit's amazing. Oh man, I love that place. But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where the basketball thing started. It was just an accessible league. It was easy to follow.
Right.
Lots of really great personalities, and I think I have a pretty big personality, so I love to associate with them like that.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where it got started. And then now that I'm at an ACC school, the college basketball part came together, and now I love the game. I love the sport.
So had your view changed on it? Like, what do people that are watching in the stands, because you and I work together for athletics. What would you say they might not understand about basketball? Because I guess I don't really know where this question was going. I was going to ask what is different about watching it in the stands or on TV versus watching it like close up. Like, we get more access to the players, I guess. Like you write pieces for athletics, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I would like to hear you what your thoughts about that are, like the accessibility to the players. I know you were kind of just talking about it, but
I mean, the more you're around athletes, the more you view them as humans. And like, if we're talking about during a game, being able to pick up and hear what they're saying and hear what the coaches are saying, like hearing like Godfrey cuss at BJ Anya or something, like, it's funny. Like, you realize like all these guys are just people. For some other teams I've worked for, like, you pick up on a lot more things about like their emotions on the court and how that plays a role and what's going on. Like, you start to notice little things like, ooh, so-and-so's folding his arms. He's about to get pissed and turn the ball over a lot.
Right.
Things like that. Like, working in sports just made me really change how I look at athletes. As before, growing up, I was like idolizing athletes, for what they do on the field. But being around athletes more now, I've started to realize, they're just people too. They're just like me.
Right. Just taller, not even though, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe the same height.
Just much more athletic than I am, but they're people too.
Right. And I think that helps, like, because as you mentioned earlier, you have a friend who now plays professional basketball. Yeah. But you knew him well before he started playing professional basketball.
Well, I actually started talking to DJ like a few months ago. Yeah.
That's not true then. Dang it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but so you interviewed him when he was, you started.
He was so he had just been cut from the Memphis Grizzlies preseason team.
Okay.
And he and I had been talking on Twitter a little bit. And then his life kind of went through, I won't get into it, but kind of, he pulled the short straw a little bit.
Right.
Can we say who he is?
DJ, he's a graduate of the University of Memphis. He's played like 3 or 4 NBA games in his career.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I mean, that's the highest level of basketball. But he plays overseas now. He's played in like Russia, Puerto Rico. He's played in the D League or G League now.
G League.
He's mostly known because he had like the highest NBA combine vertical ever. But then Dennis Smith tied it. But so that's how he's known.
Wow.
But like, listen to him talk about like I talked to him, he was in Ukraine. I wrote a big long form about him being in Ukraine and stuff, and listening to him about that. And it's so much more than just, oh yeah, my teammates are so-and-so, so-and-so. It's like, yeah, man, I'm living in this country. And like, I mean, I used to learn athletes are people too. And that makes, you can relate to them,
I think
a lot of casual fans don't do that. They look at like Dennis Smith Jr. as number 4 on NC State more than they look at him as Dennis.
Right. And I think the same thing with like as you were talking about, the NBA does a good job of making it for the fans. I think almost in an inverse of that, I think the NCAA does a less good job of doing that.
Yeah.
I think they make it more the athletes are property instead of like people, and they're like, hey, athletes, you are going to be on the field. And if you get injured and it sucks. Like,
it's all about making money for the NCAA.
If you're not playing, there's nothing you can do to serve them anymore. Like,
right.
like my favorite athlete, besides my boy Kristaps Porzingis, my son.
Your son.
Yeah, I got my NBA family. Chandler Parsons is dad. Kristaps is my son. Nick Young's my uncle. You know, love those guys. But my favorite like non-Knicks player is probably Dame Lillard. It's because like on Twitter, like I've never met Dame, probably never will, but like on Twitter, he tweets all the time. He's like me, so I always see it because I'm always on, But he's always tweeting about like his passion. He's tweeting about social issues, and he tweets about basketball, but just like the way that you and I will talk about basketball. And he has like his little rap career thing.
Yeah,
too. Dollar Dame. It's cool. Like it's actually pretty good. Like he doesn't cuss or anything, and it's pretty good.
Actually, yeah, he was on Five Fingers of Death, and he
Really?
did a pretty good job.
Morning.
Yeah, his freestyle was pretty good.
Yeah, but like those are the kind of athletes I like, the ones that you can relate to, and I think that's something that the NCAA.
I think a lot of athletes are like that. But they just for some reason or another they don't put that. It's just hard for them. I think to get because I mean there is a certain level of stardom like. Here they're not professional athletes, but they're more athletic than most people are. So like Dennis Smith, when he's walking around, people don't. I don't know. I think people they'll just kind of fan over him instead of just want to talk to him. And I don't know.
Everyone wants a picture with him rather than like what he's actually doing.
I know one of our friends loves Dennis Smith more than anyone I know. And like one time he saw him in the cafeteria and he was so excited that Dennis Smith like handed him a napkin or something. He always talks about it. He's like, Dennis Smith handed me a napkin. We're like, Michael, we don't care.
Dude, he's just a person too.
Exactly.
He eats at the cafeteria just like you and I,
Except now he's eating for a lot of money. Wherever he wants. But I think it's just tough. It's tough for athletes to like. I don't know. I've never experienced this because I'm not a T1 athlete, but I think it's tougher for them to like make real friends. And I'm sure they could speak to this better than I could as someone just looking at them and saying, this is what happens to you. But I feel like it's tougher for them to meet people who actually are there for their best interests. And so
I know that's definitely true. Like, so when I talk to athletes, I never say like, hey, I'm a big fan, because like they know. So like I've talked to athletes who have said that, they want to be recognized as more than just a basketball player,
right.
So yeah, going off, I think what you're saying is definitely in the right direction,
And so how do you try and do that? How do you try and when you're interviewing, like you obviously have experience with interviews. What do you do to make them not feel just like number 4 on the Wizards or whatever?
I mean, I just try and conversate just the way you and I would. I look at them as just a person, and I make it a conversation more than it is like an interview, like
it's a small podcast. That's all it is.
Yeah. It's like a non-public podcast, but it's pretty rare that when I first started writing, like if I was like, okay, I have an interview, I'd like take out my little like cute little journalist notepad, capital J journo, and like I'd write out question 1, question 2, question 3, and it was forced, and now I'll write out like my first question. And that's it. I just see where things go, and I make it natural. And, they view me as less as, because a lot of, journalists, athletes, whatever kind of big figure, I guess, can be kind of wary of journalists, It makes me view them as less of an athlete, more of a person, but also likewise too. I can be less of just Ian the journalist, but also just Ian the guy talking to you too.
Right.
So yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And so you spoke earlier. I don't know if this was recorded or not, but you talked that the first time you interviewed John Wall, which to me means 2 things. One, you've interviewed John Wall and more than once, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So can you speak about that? Maybe it's not as cool as I think it is, but that sounds pretty cool to me.
I mean, it was pretty cool. So it was at the Holiday Invitational
in Broughton.
Yeah, Broughton.
Which for those of you who might not know, it's a high school around here. They host a huge high school tournament that a lot of the top prospects go to, I believe.
Number 1 in 2017 was there. Lots of really great teams from Canada, West Coast, East Coast, local teams.
For it being a high school gym, it is pretty class. It has
nice.
2 stories, and usually during this invitational, it is packed.
It's tough. It's tough to get in.
From
like if
when
you're
it
not,
starts till when it ends at night.
It's the house that Pistol Pete built. But yeah, so I got to interview John. It was a 2-on-1 interview. Me and Roger Bond of Slam Magazine got to interview him.
How did you do that? Like, how did you get
Dude, I asked.
You asked?
Yeah, I asked. The tournament media director there was Webb Wellman. He works for Ball Is Life. Really great guy. He's from Kinston, lives in Raleigh now. Puts out a lot of great. He contributes a lot to basketball culture in North Carolina. I don't know if you've seen like the Hoop State hashtag. That all started with him.
Wow.
So he's done a lot as far as like promoting athletes around the area, right. Eastern North Carolina and whatnot. But yeah, I was like, so John came the one day in between Wizards games. I was like, yo, I'd love to talk to John. And Webb was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. And then me and Roger got to talk. Well, first off, Roger's a Slam Magazine writer, and I love Slam Magazine. So I was really hyped to be like,
you had two people that you really liked.
Roger had been there. I was there every day, and so was Roger for most of the games. And like, I was like, man, I really want to talk to Roger Bond. You know, I really want to talk to the Slam Magazine writer. And then finally, after that, I got my chance too. But I mean, it was cool. It was pretty cool. That was my first like NBA interview, unless you count DJ. Was, you know, he's only played a few, but an athlete currently in the NBA, and that was pretty cool.
So
like,
was John Wall as you expected? Like, before you met John Wall and after John Wall, was he the same?
John's like he's a pretty chill dude, you know.
Okay.
He's definitely not a big personality or anything like that. So.
He's like pretty laid back.
Yeah, he's
just smooth.
They call him John with the shades because he loves to wear his sunglasses inside. I mean, that's who he is. You know, he's a cool guy. I mean, he's not like a Dame Lillard or something like that. But I mean, he's just himself though. So that's how he is. You know, the interview I did with them was, you know, pretty standard Q&A, and then I was like, you know what, screw it. And at the end, I was like, so would you ever want to come play for Charlotte one day? He was like, oh yeah, you know, maybe. I was like, okay.
You got the one curveball in there.
Yeah. I was like, I need to get a curveball. He's Roger was killing it with his questions. So I was like, what's Roger like? Roger's asking about like a shoe deal and stuff like that. I was like, all right, I really need to get some in here that Roger's not gonna ask. I was like, would you consider leaving the Wizards to come back to Charlotte? And he was like, well, okay. I had considered asking. I was like, so do you really hate Bradley Beal? It's like, is that real? But I was like, nah, I can't. which by like they don't. They get along. But I really wanted to ask that. But the Charlotte question was good too.
Yeah, it was good. Like, yeah. So that was first time. Then how did you come to interview him again? I guess this kind of relates to maybe it relates to what you're doing. Yeah. But now you work for Team Wall.
Yeah.
# Team Wall. You can follow them on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah. We're at Team Wall Elite on Twitter and Instagram. If you like the stuff that's posted, it was from me.
If not, it's from somebody else.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had talked to Webb, the Ball Is Life guy, and he's been friends with John like his whole life. And he hooked me up with some of John's people. And then John had Kendrick Williams, who was one of his high school coaches, talk to me. And basically, because the position of like the PR/social media guy for an AAU team didn't really exist before. And basically, Kendrick talked to me, and he basically had me sell myself. You know, why do I need you? He's like, I heard you can do cool stuff. I heard you hustle pretty hard, but like, what can you do for me? And I told him what I could do, and I started doing that. And that's been pretty cool. Like we've had other AAU teams tweet at us, and they're like, hey, we need to get like a designer at the end of our bench. We can't get left behind, you know? But like, it's cool too. Cause I mean, you look at recruiting and stuff, like there's prospects that get discovered on Twitter. Like there's players that will get offers because they'll be like, oh, Dante Tatum scored 28 points like Kevin Knox at the Holiday Invitational. And then there's people hitting up his phone, you know? So I love being able to do what I do with Team Wall for the kids a lot. Because like, dude, sometimes the job's stressful. Like we go on these trips and I'll be working like a 16-hour day, you know. But I love doing it for the kids, and that's why John does it too. Because John's from Raleigh.
I mean, it's his team. They're called Team Wall.
Yeah.
And so like they represent him. So he has a little bit of vested interest in him, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, the reason he does it, I mean, lots of NBA players sponsor teams. I mean, like Penny Hardaway, Chandler Parsons, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
But like John is from Eastern North Carolina. He's from Raleigh, and you know, I had a pretty rough upbringing, you know. He was able to eventually pull it together, and
He's done pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he's done pretty well for himself. You're right. I think he sees some of himself in some of these kids. And that's what makes Team Wall so special. Is more than just a basketball program, but these kids learning. Because I mean, some of these kids like come from pretty rough background. I mean, it's a big mix, but they're all striving to get the same goal, which is a free education, and it's cool. It's a big family, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think you've definitely started to learn some things. Like I know this. I was telling Diego like this year you downloaded Photoshop, and now you're making things that are just.
Yeah.
you're just doing some crazy things in there.
Yeah, I just got bored one day. I was like, man, I should learn how to do something besides write and tweet. I was like, well, maybe if I learn how to make stuff that looks cool, that would help my Twitter account. And that's what I did. I started playing around with it. I watched like a 30-minute intro video on how to Photoshop. I was like, okay, well, this is cool. And then mostly I just, click around. I was like, oh, whoa, I can do this by clicking that. Whoa, no way. This is a shortcut to do this. Okay. And I love design, man. It's just like we were talking about earlier, like it's a whole nother way to tell a story. Like you can tell a story in an infographic or some kind of edit or something like that you can't really do in words. And then when you combine the two, it's just
great magic.
I couldn't think of the word, but you got it for me. I'm no expert in design, it's not something I could ever really do full time.
So you say that now until we're talking to you like 5 years
later. You're 1 year in apparently.
Yeah. But
well, I think if you look at your first design versus the designs now, you'll be like, man, what was I doing at the beginning?
Yeah.
Because we do that with our podcast. Like we listen to the first one, we're like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm that way with articles I write too. I'm like, oh man, what was you trying to say in that lead, baby? What was you doing?
No, baby, what was you doing?
But yeah, so I mean, it's all about growing.
That's what, and hopefully you'll continue to do it, and that's like something that you would obviously be interested in keep doing. So if other would you do it? Is it possible to do it for more than one AAU team at a time? Probably not, right?
Probably not, because a lot of there's dead periods and live periods in recruiting for the NCAA. So basically, when D1 coaches are allowed to come to your tournaments, your practices, things like that. So during like July and like the parts of April when it's May and April when there's the live period, those teams are all playing at the same time. And
so you need your teams to be playing each other, and then you just need, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would imagine so staying unbiased there. No conflict of interest.
You'd just be so confused. Yeah. There'd be so many players at the same time.
with like Team Wall, for example, we have an elite team, which is our 17Us, but we also have a 16U and a 15U. We have a Lady Wall team, which I haven't done a whole lot with, but I'm going to Kentucky next week. I think to Lexington to do some stuff with them. So I mean, all in all, I'm covering like 4 teams as it is. It's just under one name.
How often do the teams like intermingle like different age groups in the team wall? Do the older ones help the younger ones out at all, or not really?
All the kids are pretty close, especially like a lot of our 16Us and our 17Us. Because you spend so much time together on like these road trips.
Yeah.
Well, I think Diego's asking like.
Yeah.
So all the teams go to all the same tournaments? That's what you're asking, right?
So they
have different age groups.
Our 15U, 16U, and 17U boys all go to the same tournaments. Okay. And we also have grassroots teams in like Fayetteville, Savannah, Georgia, which is kind of like our B teams, I guess. But those 3 elite teams, which are the ones I work for, they all go.
They do some serious traveling.
All to the same tournaments.
Which means you do some serious traveling.
Yeah, I love it, man. I've been to Augusta, Georgia,
wow.
Which is pretty cool. I'm going back there. I'm taking the flight from Kentucky to Georgia next week. I've been to Atlanta, Raleigh, went to Baltimore, flew up to Pittsburgh. That was my favorite one so far.
What was so cool about it?
We played the whole tournament was held at the Pittsburgh Convention Center, and it's right on the river. So it was just so beautiful. Like you step outside the convention center, like onto like a balcony, and you can see the river. You can see where like the Pirates play. And it was just really gorgeous, and it was a really cool tournament. There were lots of really talented teams from like Ohio, New York, things like that. And the hotel we stayed in there had like a really bomb waffle maker. Like,
that's key. That's key.
That's the best part of this thing. Like forget like getting paid for like
hotel waffle makers.
Yeah, dude, the waffle makers. Like comparing the waffle makers, I'm like, Hilton has a pretty good waffle maker. Like this one, Doubletree, not so great,
I'll say the continental breakfast at hotels can make or break the hotels. Like if they have
Absolutely.
like
It's
a
true.
nice, if you wake up and there's like coffee, nice waffle makers. For me, I really like cereal. So if they have more than
A cereal
one
bar.
flavor of cereal, I'm like, yes.
I feel that so much.
I want those twisting machines in my
Yes.
house. Too.
Yes.
The cereal places.
I love those. And nice thing is usually they leave the cereal out too. Like even when breakfast ends. So like I'll go and I'll get a bowl of cereal, like just like during the day.
Yeah, when you're back at like 9 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah, because like, dude, I work for so long. So like my breakfast, like I eat. So I'm like, I'll hit up the waffle maker twice. I'll have like a bowl of cereal, like a yogurt. I'll grab like a banana and apple and put it in the bag. It's like, dude, you don't know when you're gonna eat again. Because like a lot of the games, like what time you play, it's hard to plan for it because it's often based on if you win or lose, what time you'll play again next.
And you guys, Team All Elite does a lot of winning.
We do a lot of winning. So when it comes to bracket play,
You're there for a long time.
yeah, I never hope for a loss, but I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. You know, 'cause it would, especially with the long rides, the ride back is a lot better after a win.
Who drives the bus?
We take 3 vans.
Okay.
So usually it's a coach, or one of our coaches do. We did fly to Pittsburgh, and then we'll fly to Las Vegas later this month.
That's awesome. That's going to be something.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go to Las Vegas because you know who's going to be there? The big ballers and LeVar Ball. So
Are you a LeVar fan?
I'm a huge LeVar fan, man. No. Dude, I mean, if we're talking about social media, he owns social media. I mean, look.
I don't know why he owns social media. But
Controversy. He sparks it.
The NBA awards show that they were promoting for months upon months upon months, spending advertising, was talked about less than LeVar Ball going on WWE Raw.
Right.
Like Big Baller Brand hasn't spent a single dollar on advertising. And people are like, man, he's an idiot. But he knows what he's doing. Like if you notice, he says the ridiculous stuff. It's never LaMelo, it's never LiAngelo or Alonzo. It's always him. He's okay with being the heel. And I think his kids have a lot to gain from it. And they're like, I see people and they're like, no, you know what? The Ball brothers aren't going to go anywhere because their dad's a big distraction. I'm like, yeah, okay. And you think Lonzo would be in the NBA right now if he was raised by someone who's not LeVar? You know?
And regardless, his name is in our mouths right now.
His name is in our mouths. And you know what? That's exactly what he wants.
Yeah, I know.
I'll say I've tried to not, like, I just don't, I'm not a huge LeVar fan. Like, because he's so polarizing, I just don't, I think, I agree with you. He says controversial stuff to get views, and it works because ESPN can't stop talking about him for whatever reason. Because I guess people want to hear about it. They like, ESPN also wants the views, and so to do that, you put in the name of the person who's going to get you the most views. I understand that. So I've just like cut out LeVar. Like if I ever see LeVar, I won't click on the article or won't.
I mean, I won't lie. The stuff he says is real stupid. But
he is not stupid. The stuff he says is stupid. Bingo. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. He's too much for me. I just can't. But I mean, I hope Lonzo does well. No one ever talks about LiAngelo, so I feel bad for you, my friend. You're you're the lost ball brother.
Well, did you see LeVar said maybe one day he'll be a model? Like they asked him, they're like, if one brother didn't, I think it was GQ asked him, like, if one brother doesn't make it to the league, who will it be? And he'll be like, he was like, it's LiAngelo, but he can be a model though. That made me laugh.
This is crazy.
He can sew the shirts and shoes together in the Chino Hills Big Baller Brand factory.
Did you see what? I don't know if this is still true, but I know that the youngest brother was actually following you on Twitter at one point.
Yeah, he did. LaMelo Ball follows me on Twitter. Yeah, he does.
How did that come to be? Was there anything to it, or?
I'm pretty sure it was out of the blue.
Really?
But dude, I was ecstatic. And then I had to like step back, and I was like, he can't even go off campus for lunch. But like, but I was like, oh,
he doesn't even have a driver's license.
Yeah, like dude, like he's in the cafeteria for lunch. Like he probably doesn't even have armpit hair yet. Like but it's still pretty cool. So.
I mean, he might not have armpit hair. He does have 1.7 million followers on Instagram, which is insane.
Yeah.
I think we keep bringing this up. I don't know why the balls keep talking. I mean, they're genius apparently.
Yeah.
But we talk about that for some reason the sophomore in high school has more followers than the NBA player, which is or he's 1.9, Lonzo's 1.7. It's some breakdown like that. That's just crazy.
And it's probably because of his stupid haircut. Have you seen LaMelo's hair?
I don't like.
He looks
LaMelo's
like a Yu-Gi-Oh character.
He does. No, that's a great description of him. I'm curious how he's going to do in college. We'll see. That's just something that's just for 2 years down the road. It's too early to tell.
Now, can he get paid now while he's in high school? Can high school players?
The
get paid?
NCAA will like take away everything
No.
that he ever owns.
Yeah.
Even if he's paid in high school
You
from
can't-
like random things.
You
Dude, the
can't get paid
NCAA is
ever.
criminal, man. Like
Really?
that I don't know if you saw. I think it was Central Florida. Their kicker had
We talked about this on the
A
podcast.
YouTube channel, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
like it doesn't have anything to do with football. Like who cares what he does? I could go on and on about the NCAA,
No,
man.
we're not a well. Personally, I
Yeah.
will only speak for myself. I'm not a huge fan of the NCAA.
Yeah.
I imagine you are.
I think most people aren't fans of the NCAA
Yeah.
just because
It
they
sucks
are so
'cause-
criminal. There's so much money that they're making.
It's because like college sports, I think, are like the most pure form of sports. You know, like before coming to NC State, I wasn't really able to like comprehend that. But then like going to football games, they have the band, the cheerleaders, the dance team. Everyone going, whoa, Pat, you know, across back
Right.
and forth in the stadium. That's not something you can really get at
And,
like an
like,
NFL game. You know,
The fans are like associated with the program.
Yeah,
and
you
so
know.
like it's cool. You know?
Everyone's really invested. Like you go to a state football game and like half these people like don't even know what like a first down is, but everyone's so passionate about it. I think that's what makes college sports so pure. But like then the governing body, it's just ironic. Then you have the NCAA where it's like the polar opposite pretty
Right,
much,
right.
you know? So it's kind of an ironic,
I just don't know what can be done. Like I don't know what the players can do. Like is there like a new contract negotiation coming up at any point? Like I don't know what
Not that I know.
the legal behind the scenes
we
is
should
on
start a
that.
fake NCAA, just a mock one. Get all these universities to sign
it
with us.
exists. It's
NACC.
called- It's the NAIA.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they slowly acquiring universities or like?
Slowly. I got recruited to play lacrosse at an AIA school, and I was like, so what is that? I was like, is this like D3 or D2? And he was like, well, no, we're D1 NAIA.
Like oh
I was like, okay.
yeah
But no, it's good. And the NAIA is a little bit more lax, but it's not, it doesn't really have
Players
a
don't
future.
get played or anything.
No.
I guess they're smaller schools. To
It
begin
does,
with.
yeah, because they can't really afford. Because like,
Right.
I'm all for paying the players, but only if you and I's tuition isn't going up. Because I think a lot of money is really wasted in college athletics.
No, it has to be through like commercials and
Yeah,
broadcasting deals.
just
It-
let
all
them-
the money has to come
yeah.
from there, and then you can portion it out.
Let them
from
make
there.
their own money.
Yes,
you know?
that's what I was gonna say. Like you don't necessarily have to pay. Like
Yeah.
the school doesn't have to pay them. Just allow them to do the things that they could do.
Yeah.
That you're just taking away from them.
And if they were working at like a restaurant and an alumni wants to tip them $20, like let them tip them $20.
Yeah, if
Like,
you sell like 30 million Dennis Smith jerseys,
yeah,
some of that should be Dennis Smith's
I
money.
agree. Or- yeah, if you're
Yeah.
like selling Dennis Smith's picture on a photograph, like if
Yeah.
I take a photograph of him, then like the NNO runs it, they make
yeah.
X number of dollars on it. Some of that should be going to Dennis Smith.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just not really fair, and it's also it comes back to these kids are forced if they want to play professionally they have to go to college.
Right.
So I mean I don't know if you watched the Ben Simmons Showtime or HBO documentary, I forget what it was, but there was a Ben Simmons documentary. It's followed him around his freshman year at LSU. And he wasn't shy. I mean, like, I think he appreciated his time at LSU, but he was like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
I know as soon as he got out, he was like tweeting bad stuff about the
Yeah,
NCAA.
I mean-
he was just like criminal organization.
yeah, and he's not wrong, man.
Right.
Like, if when I wanted to start writing and making money to write, I didn't have. I mean, of course, going to college will help me, just like I think it does with athletes too, as
Right.
far as developing your game and whatnot. But I didn't have to. You know, I wasn't forced to go and take a year-long internship before I could get paid to write.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah.
my skill is writing. Their school is putting the ball their skill is putting a ball through a hoop. It's matches up, you know.
Right.
It's not really fair, you know.
I agree. I mean, it just like it doesn't affect the fans. Like if
Mm-hmm.
if a donor wants to give a kid a car,
Yeah.
I don't care if he gets a car.
Yeah,
I
same
don't
here.
think, like
It
it's
doesn't
like,
affect you and I.
but at the same point, am I just like, I don't know. Maybe that's bias on my part. Maybe I have some sort of bias
I mean,
that allows me to not
the
care about
NCAA's
that.
claim is that like you don't want young celebrities, how young celebrities go crazy and you know,
Right.
you
I mean,
get Justin Bieber driving in Florida
That's-
with a Lamborghini
it's true.
at 2 a.m. getting pulled over. Like,
Hey, and NC State. Bieber's repping NC State. So
Yeah.
that's all I'll say about
It's
that.
true.
Go Pack. He should
we
come.
do want Justin Bieber doing his,
Homecoming concert 2017. Mhm.
No, we'll get like
but
I don't even
I
wanna
don't
say
think
what
that's a fair point, to be honest, like at all. I mean, a lot of the players' families, like you said earlier, not rich.
Yeah,
You know,
and
Right.
I'll say it anyway without naming names. A lot of these big schools, they're paying the kids anyway. I
Right.
mean, if it's happening anyway, just make it clean and make it public. you know, because when you're doing it behind the scenes, it becomes shady. The money is not coming from the right places.
Right. Then you have stuff like when the Louisville stuff comes out, then
Yeah.
it's like, then people are like, whoa. And then the school has to like backtrack and be like, well, we didn't sanction this. Well, I'm sure that's not the only place where that's happening.
No, absolutely.
I mean, it's
not.
happening everywhere. So.
Yeah.
And like, and like, so, I mean, like, I think football players, like for bowl games, I know that they get like nice packages at the
Yeah.
end. And for some reason that is okay.
Allegedly get nice packages.
No.
Is
It's like,
it
no,
100%?
That's
Okay.
sanctioned. That's sanctioned. That's like, if you win the bowl, like a bowl game or whatever, you go into the, after you win, I've not been in this room, but I hear that like you go in, then you can select a package of this thing or this thing, and then sometimes
And
it's
they're
like a
like
TV and an
nice
Xbox,
items.
or it's
Yeah.
like these things, which are like, but there's a price limit of I don't know, like $10,000 on these items,
Yeah.
and for some reason that's okay, but the kids can't accept that. I don't know. I'd find it
Because
odd.
that's silly because like that's giving the kids something, which okay, like that's fine. So you'll give the kids stuff, but you won't let them do something to earn it for themselves. Like you won't let a kid make a YouTube video and sell T-shirts or sell his jersey, or I mean, they should be able. Yeah, you know. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but
Right. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough situation. I'm sure I'd have to talk to someone who is like anti kids getting paid to maybe understand more of.
I used to be in that ship.
Really?
I used to be in that ship.
What changed your mind? Why are you on the other ship now?
Like I was saying earlier, is that adjustment of viewing athletes as more than just athletes, but also people, getting actually know athletes. Because before I was like, they're here, their job is to, they're getting an education, like.
Yeah, they're getting it for
They're
free.
a student first.
Yeah, I was
Right.
like, well, I'm going to be a student in college and I have to go into debt, and they don't. So, I wish I could play basketball,
Right.
but like, I also don't have to invest hours and hours and hours a
Right.
week,
Right.
I don't have to balance those things, and then I realized like the metaphor I came earlier with, like, I have a skill for writing that I capitalize upon, not of course very lucratively, but enough, and then they have a skill too, and it's the same thing. So if I can do it, why can't they?
Right.
And as long as, like I said, as long as the money is coming from the right place and it's not resulting in tuition hikes or something like that, then why not? Because the Huffington Post has a database of how much schools make or lose from athletics, and it said like it has all the channels, and it has how much students pay per semester or whatever to contribute to the athletic department. Like you and I at NC State, we pay like I think $400 a year. So like our tickets aren't really free, but that's a lot smaller than a lot of schools because NC State does make a lot of money, especially off of football.
Right.
So as long as that number isn't going up, it's fine, but it's just hypocritical, man.
It's tough. I mean, it just puts the schools sometimes in awkward places
Yeah.
where like the schools, I imagine that it's the schools would want to pay the players, but the governing, that's how I would like to think of it, instead of like the NCAA maybe is really good, and then it's the school presidents that are.
It's like
down.
the
We just hold it down.
NCAA can put Dennis Smith, or we didn't make the tournament, but the NCAA can put Joel Berry in a commercial.
Well, they work. I think he might have been in the ACC tournament. He was definitely in the commercial for that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. So it's like they can make money off the kids. Like if the NCAA wasn't making direct money off the kids, and it was like just the schools and ticket sales, like I don't know. But then it's the NCAA that's directly profiting off these kids. What these kids have worked for and are talented at doing.
Right.
So it's
Has there been a case against that? Just like I don't
I don't know. I'm
I
sure
don't
there
want you
has.
making money off of me in this commercial. or anything. I don't know.
The Northwestern football team tried to unionize. I guess it was like 2 years ago. And yeah, that didn't work.
Oh.
I mean, for it to happen, everyone would need to
Yeah, it
use
would be a
like it
strength
would
in
be like,
numbers thing.
all right, on Saturday, like football teams would have to be like, all right, this Saturday we're not going
playing.
out to the field,
Yeah.
and they would have to do it. Like that's why, similar to the NFL, NFL players have to do the same thing if they want more guaranteed money. They're gonna have to say, all right, this Sunday we're not playing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
everyone
holding
would
out.
have to follow it. They
Mhm.
and like if they do that, someone will cave. Like
Someone has to,
like
know?
it just like
I mean, and for the NCAA, it's the difference between being filthy rich and just slightly below filthy rich. So like, they don't lose,
Yeah.
But it's definitely a strength in numbers thing. I don't think it happens in the foreseeable future, but I
Right.
think one day eventually will. And Hopefully it does. I mean, I don't know if you heard, but Adam Silver wants to even get rid of.
I saw it, the one and done rule.
Yeah, the one and done rule, which I mean, it's great, and I think that will put a little bit more pressure on the NCAA to help compensate athletes more, give them a reason to want to come to school.
Right. Besides to get an education.
Besides to get an education.
Which I'm proud of Dennis Smith for saying that he wants to finish his education. I
Yeah.
hope he goes through with that. I'd like to see a comm major Dennis Smith commentating after his NBA career is done. I think that'd be interesting.
I don't know if you saw like Marcus Camby, who was like John Calipari's like first big guy at UMass, like his first star player, but he just graduated from UMass this year, and Calipari was at his graduation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's cool. You know,
I feel like those are the stories that don't get pushed enough. Those are the athletes that do go back and get their education and like do have a life outside that aren't like crashing and burning like some of these other athletes.
Make the relatable stuff. I love to read about relatable stories with athletes, and that's never what we see, you know?
I mean, it's just not what sells. Like maybe you like it, but the masses like to see X player found with cocaine and 3, I don't know, whatever's.
Yeah, I've never been found in Vegas with cocaine,
Right.
So I can never relate
exactly,
to that.
exactly.
But like I said, like that's why I love like Dame Lillard, because he's like I
just
like
more
making
personable.
music, and I was like, well, I like supporting people who make music. You know, it's relatable. But yeah, you're right. That's not always the story that sells. Not always the story that sells.
I mean, controversial stuff sells. Hashtag, you know who. I'm not even gonna say.
Yeah, yeah.
But that wasn't supposed to turn into an NCAA bashing. I appreciate,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, what certain aspects of the NCAA does. I appreciate them to a certain extent. And it's not even like I'm affected by the NCAA.
Yeah.
Like, really. Like, I guess they affect, like, as you said, the prices that I would pay
Mm-hmm.
to watch the sports team play. But really, it's not me. It's the athletes that, as I've gotten to know them more, I guess I care more about what they have done. But it is what it is, and we'll just have to live with it for now.
Yeah.
But I think our time is almost up. But one final thing that I wanted to push through, which we haven't asked someone in a long time. Diego knows what I'm going to ask. And it's so the basic Starburst flavors, right?
Yeah.
Which one are you eating first?
Yellow.
Okay. What order?
So what? It's yellow, pink, red, orange, right?
Yes, those are the 4.
Okay. Yellow.
Okay.
And then red.
Okay.
And then orange.
Wow.
And then pink.
Okay, I think you have almost gone inverted of what people say. Pink is the best by far. Yellow is the worst. I say that is the most common response we've gotten. So I go red, yellow, pink, orange. That's mine. Diego, what is yours? I don't even remember. This has been so long.
I don't even. I haven't even had a Starburst in so long.
They're not your candy of choice.
Red is a favorite, and then I guess pink. I'll do yellow before orange, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I mean, that's just it's just like a little fun thing that we try and throw in at the end.
Yeah.
But where can people check you out? Just pimp your social media that if you want to follow them on, if you want them to follow you, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if you're a big Instagram user.
Yeah. So I recently had to redo I made a new Instagram because I would like redo kind of like my Instagram brand. You know?
Rebranding. Let's go.
Like try to like learn how to use a camera a little bit. But all my social media handles are the same. It's Ian Pierno, which is
awesome.
IAN.
Well done. Well done to
you.
you for branding perfectly like that.
Thank you.
It's so rare, dude.
I know, it's crazy. Like I'll try and like some of our athletes on Team Wall, like I'll try and like tag them on like Twitter and Instagram. I'm like, why is your Twitter handle Johnny Johnson, but like your Instagram handle is like Young Savage __2199. Like what? Like, just make them the same. Like it's so much simpler.
I agree. I don't know why people don't do that. We did that for us. I do that for me on everything. I'm the same thing just to make it easy. I guess if people wanted to find me, they could do it easily. But that's what you want as like. I mean, I'm not a public figure, but if you were a public figure, I feel like it's better just to have all the handles the same.
Yeah,
so branding's important.
It's nice, especially for like you or I. Like we have pretty unique last names, so it can help stand out a little bit. But yeah, so Ian Pierno, IANPIERNO. Add me on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I just got a VSCO. That's pretty fun.
Oh, there you go.
Pinterest.
You are the man of Pinterest.
I do.
The one and only.
I'll say I also have a Pinterest account.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, it's cool. You can see some cool stuff on
Yeah,
there. I'm
I
not like
love
going on
Pinterest.
Pinterest casually. You might be going on it casually. I won't.
Yeah, I go on pretty casually. Like it's something like I'll go on maybe like once a week, but when I do, like I'm on there for like a good like
Just
20
going like a
minutes.
deep dive on it. No, I
for
understand that.
sure.
I'll say one good thing about Pinterest, their graphic design stuff is really good.
Oh yeah.
I like looking at like sports graphic designs on there because like you like click on someone, they've already pinned like 30 graphic designs. You just scroll through them.
I'll have to do that.
You should.
See,
I feel like
I like to look at like kitchens and shoes and houses.
they also have
and-
good style page. Like I have no fashion, but I enjoy looking at like the little things that they're like, here's an outfit that you should wear, and I'm like, and then I don't follow it all, and I end up wearing what I'm wearing now, which is
Yeah.
just like some trash.
It's okay. I'm wearing tie dye. So.
Like, nothing's wrong with tie dye. Diego and I have made tie dye shirts. I'll put that on the record.
I still wear mine. It was
See, there
like
you go.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's true.
Tie-dye.
Tie dye. All right. So, Diego, if you want to start pimping us out, I'm going to start playing our walkout music today, which is called All in the Value by Honne. I think Hone. So, just for the record.
All right. Well, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Epic Podcast. You can go to our website at epichq.com. That's where all our podcasts are uploaded first, just low-key side note. But also on iTunes, look us up, Epic, EPOCH again. Make sure to rate us, leave a review. And on YouTube is the last one, Epic Podcast. So, yeah, make sure to rate us.
Episodes
retweet
should be
us,
coming
like
out
us.
more consistently now. We're sorry that we took a long break. They should be coming out on Tuesdays at 10 a.m.
I'm calling it season 2, but we did take a break.
I did call it is season 2. That's why I put it up on the website as. You can check out
Really?
season 2, episode 1. It is now live with Kai McNeil and Malika Boo. So check it out. So thank you for coming on, Ian. Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks for having me.
No, it was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to have you back sometime after you come back from Las Vegas. I want to hear about your Vegas trip.
I will be so down
Gamble
to talk
all
about
your
that.
money.
Yeah, gamble all the money away. You just gamble away the team. You give away the Twitter handle.
Oh, I'll give you these shoes, man.
All right. So we're just gonna be jamming.
'Cause it's all